Hello, dear listeners. Welcome to our podcast. My name is Linda, and I'm here with Leo.
Hi, everyone. We are excited to talk to you today. We will be discussing something very important for people who want to study or work abroad. It's called the TOEFL exam.
TOEFL stands for Test of English as a Foreign Language. It's an exam that tests how well you understand and use English. It's mostly for people who want to go to school or work in countries where English is the main language, like the United States, Canada, or the UK.
Exactly, Linda. The TOEFL exam is very popular. Millions of people take it every year. It helps universities and companies know how good your English is. So, if you're thinking about studying in another country, you might need to take this test.
Yes, the test is in English, and it has 4 parts. These parts are reading, listening, speaking, and writing. All of these are important to show how good you are in English.
Let's start with reading. When you take the TOEFL, you will read a few texts. These texts are similar to what you might see in a college or university book. After reading, you answer questions to show that you understand. It helps show how well you can understand information in English.
Right, Leo. The texts might be about many different things like science, history, or even art. The questions will ask you about the main ideas, details, and what the writer wants to say. It's a good way to check if you can follow English when you are reading.
The second part is listening. In this part, you listen to short conversations or lectures. You will hear people talking, like students or teachers, and then you answer questions about what they said. This helps test if you can understand spoken English, like when you are in class or at work.
Yes, it's really important to listen carefully during this part of the test. The conversations are like real-life situations, like talking to a professor or asking questions in class. The test will ask you to find out what the people are talking about and what their ideas are.
Now, we come to speaking. This is where you have to speak in English. Don't worry, it's not too scary. You answer questions about different topics, and your answers are recorded. The questions are about simple things like your favorite hobby or about reading a short text and talking about it.
The speaking part is really important because it shows how well you can express your ideas in English. You need to speak clearly and give good answers. Even if you're nervous, it's okay. Just try your best to explain your ideas.
Yes, exactly. And then there's writing, which is the last part. In this part, you will write 2 essays. One is about something you have read and listened to, and the other is about your opinion on a topic. The writing part helps show how well you can organize your ideas and explain them in English.
Writing can feel hard, but it's also a chance to show your thoughts. When you write, it's important to be clear. You don't need to use very difficult words, but you should try to make your writing easy to understand.
That's right. It's not about using big words, but about making sure that people understand what you want to say. You can prepare for this part by practicing writing about different topics.
So, the TOEFL exam is very complete. It checks all parts of your English skills: reading, listening, speaking, and writing. This makes it a good way for schools or jobs to see if you are ready to use English in your daily life.
Yes, and the good thing is, you don't need to be perfect. You just need to show that you can communicate well in English.
That's right. The TOEFL is not about being perfect. It's about showing that you understand and can use English in different situations.
And the great news is that there are lots of ways to prepare for the TOEFL. You can find practice tests, videos, and even classes online.
Yes, and practicing can make you feel more comfortable with the test. Even if you don't feel ready now, with some preparation, you can do really well.
So, that's what the TOEFL is all about. It's a test that can help open doors for studying or working abroad.
Exactly. If you dream of studying or working in an English-speaking country, the TOEFL might be the next step for you.
Now that we've talked about the 4 parts of the TOEFL exam: reading, listening, speaking, and writing, let's go a little deeper into how you can prepare for each part.
That's a great idea, Leo. Let's start with the reading section. One of the best ways to get ready for this is by reading in English as much as possible. You can read books, articles, or even online blogs. The more you read, the better you get at understanding different types of texts.
Yes, and when you read, try to focus on understanding the main ideas. You can also practice finding small details in the text. It's important to know how to quickly find information because during the exam, time is limited. You have to answer questions about the reading in a short time.
Exactly. Time management is very important in the TOEFL exam. You don't have a lot of time to spend on each question, so you have to be fast and accurate. One tip is to start by reading the questions first, so you know what to look for in the text.
That's a good tip, Linda. Another thing that can help is practicing vocabulary. There are a lot of words that are used in academic texts, and learning them can make reading easier. You don't have to know every single word, but understanding key terms can help you guess the meaning of new words.
Yes, and don't forget to take notes while reading. Writing down the main points and ideas can help you understand better and remember things later. It also helps you answer the questions faster.
Now, let's move on to listening. To get better at listening, you need to practice understanding spoken English in different situations. You can listen to podcasts, watch English TV shows, or even watch YouTube videos where people speak English.
Yes, listening to natural conversations is really helpful. When you practice, try to listen for the main ideas and also for details, just like in the test. You can also practice taking notes while listening, because during the exam, you'll have to remember what was said to answer questions.
That's right, and don't worry if you don't understand everything right away. It's normal. The important thing is to get the main idea and some key details. Sometimes the test will ask you what the speaker's opinion is or what they are trying to do, like giving advice or explaining something.
Yes, and the conversations in the TOEFL test are often similar to what you hear in everyday life, like talking with friends or listening to a teacher in class. So, practicing with real-life conversations can be very useful.
Now, let's talk about the speaking section. This part can be a little scary for some people, but it's actually a great chance to show that you can express yourself in English.
Yes, and a good way to prepare is by practicing speaking in English every day. You can talk to friends, teachers, or even practice by yourself. Try to answer questions about simple topics like your hobbies, daily routine, or your opinion on something. This will help you get more comfortable speaking.
And remember, it's okay to make mistakes when speaking. The TOEFL examiners are not looking for perfect English. They want to see if you can explain your thoughts clearly. So, focus on speaking confidently and giving complete answers.
Exactly, a great way to practice is by recording yourself. You can listen to your recording later and see if there's anything you want to improve, like speaking more clearly or using better words.
Yes, and don't forget to time yourself. In the TOEFL exam, you only have a short time to answer each question, so practicing speaking within that time limit is important. You can use a timer to make sure you're answering quickly but clearly.
Now let's move to writing, the last part of the test. For many people, writing can be the hardest part, but with practice, you can do well. One tip is to practice writing essays on different topics. You can start by writing about things you know well, like your favorite food, your country, or a place you want to visit.
Yes, writing is all about organizing your ideas clearly. When you write, start with an introduction that explains your main idea. Then, write a few paragraphs that support your idea, and finally, end with a conclusion.
That's right. And in the TOEFL writing section, you'll have 2 tasks. For the first task, you'll read a passage and listen to a short lecture. Then, you'll write about how the two are related. For the second task, you'll write about your opinion on a topic.
And just like with the speaking section, it's okay to make mistakes in writing. The most important thing is that your essay is easy to understand and that your ideas are organized well. You can practice by writing short essays on different topics and getting feedback from a teacher or a friend.
Yes, and a good tip for writing is to practice using transition words like first, next, also, or finally. These words help your essay flow better and make it easier for the reader to follow your ideas.
Absolutely. Transition words are like signposts for the reader. They tell the reader what's coming next and help your writing sound more organized.
Another thing that can help is reading your essay out loud after you write it. Sometimes, when you hear your own writing, it's easier to catch mistakes or make improvements.
Yes, that's a great way to check your work. And remember, the more you practice, the better you'll get at writing clear, organized essays.
So, whether you're practicing reading, listening, speaking, or writing, the key is to keep practicing every day. Little by little, your skills will improve, and you'll feel more confident when you take the TOEFL exam.
And we've covered all the sections: reading, listening, speaking, and writing. Let's talk about some general tips for taking the TOEFL exam.
Yes, it's really important to have a strategy. First, let's talk about managing your time during the test. Each section of the TOEFL is timed, so you need to be careful not to spend too much time on any one question.
That's right. For example, in the reading section, you might have a few long texts to read, and it's easy to get stuck on a difficult question. If that happens, don't panic. Just move on to the next question and come back to it later if you have time.
Exactly. The same goes for listening. Once the audio stops, you can't replay it, so try to take quick notes while you listen. But don't worry if you miss a detail. Focus on the main ideas because most questions will ask about those.
Another important thing is staying calm during the test. It's normal to feel nervous, especially if English is not your first language, but try to stay focused. Take deep breaths if you feel stressed, and remember that you've prepared for this.
Yes, and sometimes the questions can seem tricky, but don't let that confuse you. If you're unsure about an answer, try to eliminate the choices that are clearly wrong. This way, even if you guess, you have a better chance of picking the right answer.
Good point, Linda. And speaking of preparation, one thing that really helps is taking practice tests. This way, you can get used to the format of the TOEFL and see which parts you need to work on.
Yes, practice tests are a great way to see how you're doing. They also help you get used to the timing. If you practice taking the test with a timer, you'll feel more comfortable when it's time for the real exam.
And don't forget to review your answers. After you take a practice test, go back and check your mistakes. This helps you learn from them and improve for next time.
Exactly. Another thing that can help is finding a study partner or group. Practicing with others is a fun way to improve your skills. You can quiz each other on vocabulary, practice speaking together, or review each other's writing.
Yes, studying with friends can make learning more fun and less stressful. You can even practice speaking by pretending to answer TOEFL-style questions together. The more you practice speaking out loud, the more confident you'll feel during the test.
Confidence is key, and it's important to take care of yourself before the test day too. Make sure to get plenty of rest the night before, and eat a good meal before the exam so you have energy.
Yes, being well rested and relaxed can make a big difference. Also, don't forget to bring everything you need on test day. That includes your ID and anything else the test center requires.
Good advice, Leo. And during the test, remember to stay positive. Even if one part feels hard, don't get discouraged. Just do your best on each section and keep moving forward.
Exactly. Remember, the TOEFL isn't about being perfect. It's about showing that you can understand and communicate in English. If you've practiced and prepared, you're ready.
That's right. And no matter what your score is, taking the TOEFL is a big achievement. It's proof that you've worked hard to improve your English, and that's something to be proud of.
Definitely. So, whether you're planning to study at a university, apply for a job, or even just challenge yourself, the TOEFL can open many doors for you.
Yes, and we hope today's podcast has helped you understand more about the exam and how to prepare for it.
We're sure that with practice and a positive mindset, you can succeed on the TOEFL and reach your goals.
Exactly. Keep practicing, keep learning, and believe in yourself. You've got this.
Thank you all for joining us today. We hope you found this podcast helpful and inspiring.
Yes, and we wish you the best of luck with your TOEFL exam and your English journey. Bye for now.
Goodbye.